Was keen to crow about them this morning. Why is Labor standing in the way? Doesn't the government have a mandate to implement its jobs and growth business tax cut?
Well, like you, Christine, I heard that the jobs and growth slogan plenty at the last election, but I can tell you that Labor took an alternative to the Australian people, and I ran for election on a different platform, a platform of inclusive prosperity, a platform that doesn't believe that an unfunded $65 billion tax cut to multinational corporations will somehow magically trickle down to Australians.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't seen that translate into wages growth. It hasn't been implemented yet, across the board, so you can't claim that that's a result of any jobs figures at the moment.
Oh, Peter, seriously, I mean, Bill Shorten, up until a couple of years ago, supported business tax cuts. He spoke about how important they were for competitive advantage. We need to be a global competitor, and business tax cuts are essential. And it's absolute hypocrisy for Labor to be now parroting this line when Bill Shorten and Labor previously supported business tax cuts to drive jobs. And this is one of the problems we have at the moment with this Parliament, an opposition leader that has no interest in reform and has no interest in the national interest, quite frankly.
Well, Tim Watts, can I just ask? I mean, it's a really straight-up question. Labor opposed the small business company tax cuts up to companies or businesses with a turnover of 50 million. You supported it with a turnover of up to 2 million. Will you wind it back when you get into government, or will you find a way to absorb it because it's too hard to wind back?
Well, we've been really clear, Peter. We've said that our position has consistently been that we didn't think there should be a across-the-board corporate tax cut like the one that the government has introduced. We did say, as you've identified, that we'd support it up to $2 million, but we opposed extending that corporate tax cut to companies up to $50 million.
So you'll wind it back?
Now, Chris Bowen's been very clear that we've got to take a new position into the next election, and we will look at
you won't wind it back.
The fiscal position, the budgetary position, and we'll make our position on the current corporate tax rate that has been implemented.
So that means
we will make a decision in the lead up to the next election.
So
when you say Chris
Peter,
Bowen has been clear, you mean we just don't know, we'll find out?
He's been very clear that we will be responsible and we will develop our policy on this corporate tax cut informed by the budgetary position that we encounter when we go into the next federal election.
So what that means is $150 billion of higher taxes that Labor will take to the election based on their current position.
Okay, so but just to be clear though,
economically reckless.
Sorry, I just got to jump in though. So just to be clear though, Tim Watts, the clarity that has been provided is that we don't yet have clarity, but we will at some point in the future have clarity.
Now, we've been very clear about the process that we will take. I should say, Peter, that we have been more upfront than any opposition in recent memory about our tax arrangements. You talked earlier about the difficulty in implementing reform, and I think one of the great difficulties we've seen in recent times is oppositions who have been very good at tearing down governments but not very good at offering alternatives while in opposition. And at last federal election, Sarah, please, at the last federal election,
case in point, you're destroying...
Sarah, if you can just shut up for 2 seconds, I will articulate.
Sorry.
If you want to cut across me...
Tim, please don't tell me to shut up. That's
Sarah,
really offensive.
If you want to talk across me this whole interview,
that's fine, but don't tell me to shut up. That's really offensive.
But you need to pull your neck in and let me speak here.
And
what I'm saying is that at the last federal election, we took a very extensive tax policy to the election on capital gains reform, negative gearing reform. We've been very clear about tax trust treatment reform. We've taken the most substantive tax agenda to the people, and that's how you deliver reform. You're upfront with them about what you're going to do, and then you take that to an election and you get a mandate for it. We'll do the same thing about the treatment of company tax rates.